Okay, folks. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Yeah, that's it. Dr. Chamoy presents short stories from egos and assholes. You know, before we get to one of the great short stories that, well, for some people might have been a little traumatic at the time, I wanted to discuss what the true identity is going to be here for the 21st century. Meaning, for years and years and years, they identify people by using their fingerprints. And then as time went on, we all know that, well, they switched to DNA to positively identify somebody until somebody came up with the idea of cloning somebody else, and the next thing you know, you needed a penitentiary called Cloney Island or something like that. And then they moved on and they wanted to do the retina scan for the positive ID and true identity of each person. Of course, if you saw the same movie I did, somebody'd steal your eyes just to scan and open up a door. Well, I want you folks to know that the true identity, the true way they're going to be able to identify each and every one of us in the 21st century is going to be that of the rectal scan. Yes, that's right, the rectal scan, because history has shown that there's no two assholes exactly alike. Many that are similar, you can't name two that are exactly alike. And think about it for a moment. Think about it for a moment. Unlike your eyes, who's going to want to steal your asshole to be you? I know. All right. Okay. All right. Now, where to begin with a story, chapter 1, part 1. Let's get the Rolodex of time. I see now clearly it's in the 70s. And it was an unfortunate period of Chamoy's life at that time. For you see, he was caught up in that revolution. Well, economic revolution, I think it was. And was back in seminary school, was rather detained, for another polite way of saying incarcerated or stuck. And one bright sunny day, it just seemed like a good idea. Well, I don't know, maybe to go to the beach, get back to the old neighborhood to see some friends. Only they called it escaping. And I borrowed their driver's education car for the mode of transportation. Well, I was finally caught and apprehended running through the woods about 30 miles from that institution, and they finally caught up with me. Car was destroyed. Funny thing happens when you throw it in park at 90 miles an hour. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting there in the warden's office with the captain, the AW, and now here comes a guy that looks like Gregory Peck in a three-piece gray suit. He was with the FBI. Puts his foot up on a chair next to me and says, "Son, why did you take that car?" Paul's looked at him. Too far to walk. Well, it was. It was at least 150, 160 miles from Ocean City, Maryland. But he didn't find the humor with that answer. My chair suddenly developed 3 legs, and it kept falling over backwards with me in it every time they picked it up and set it up. Can you imagine that? Anyway, this is only the beginning of short stories from egos and assholes. One other thing before we go this evening, I'd like to bring up a segment of the show called Twisted History. Many of us know the American folklore about the two feuding families in Tennessee and Kentucky in the 1800s. Most of you thought it was the Hatfields and the McCoys. Wrong. It was really the Hatfields and the Chamois. Now, we'll get into something about that later on. But most importantly is the logo. You'll see there over and over and hear me say, for remember, there's more ways than one, and there is. And in case any of you want to know what the word "remember" means, I have an email that came in already. And "remember" simply means, in order to remember, you must forget. So remember that. Yay, have a shamoyful day. Cut, chop,